Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Hello and welcome, everyone. It is Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Lucy Liebfried in Chicago. Put the kids in bed and get comfy because you're about to have a Paranormal Friday night. Welcome, friends, family, fellow investigators, and those who are new to the field. Do you have a question to ask or a story to tell? Well, don't worry. You have two ways to be heard. Call into the show and be on the air live by dialing 661-244-9831. Press the number 1 to get your call in queue, or you can type your questions in the chat room. Anthony and I will refer to them during the show. And if you're listening on the archives or on YouTube, well, make sure you get here on Friday nights live. When you're not listening to us, you can check out our Facebook page and YouTube channel for some cool articles, videos, show highlights, and promotions. And if that's not enough, you can always drop us a line at paranormal.review@aol.com. Hey, it's time for Paranormal Review Radio.
Well, boys and girls, ghouls and goblins, it is October, finally. And you know what that means. It's only a few weeks away from one of the best holiday seasons of the year, Halloween. What other holiday lets you be something different? Dress up in a costume and ring strange doorbells to ask for candy? None, I tell you. And with all that greatness comes the best decorated houses and lands in town. But are you, like most people out there, always thinking what theme to pick for this year's Halloween decor? Do you troll the internet looking for the newest and coolest trendy gadgets and props to buy for your lawn? Is your wallet full of cobwebs but wish your front yard had them? Well, tonight we talk to the most adorable couple on YouTube that has for years chronicled their DIY journey into making and building Halloween props and decor and shared their secrets and innovative techniques for their viewers to use in their own home. Chris and Jeana have put on some of the most amazing haunts and spend most of the year planning and putting them together. If you're thinking of crawling into the attic tomorrow morning and dragging out the old skeleton and spider webs, listen in to tonight's show to hear what our guests have to share. Your haunt may just make your neighbors a little more jealous. Please help me in welcoming Chris and Jeana, the owners and stars of the website and YouTube channel Hollywood Haunter. Hi, Chris. Hi, Jeana. It is so awesome to have you on the show tonight.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Jeana. I have to say first, you guys are just so cute in the videos, and it's so amazing to see that you're both die-hard Halloween fanatics. Now, was this just by coincidence that both of you are into Halloween and decorating, or did one of you win the other one over to the dark side?
I'm not really sure at this point. It's so funny. I think we both had a love for Halloween. I would say maybe growing up I had one more than Christopher, but I think because you get to be so creative and do so many different things, I mean, we're both really artistic and creative. I think it just, it just merged and became this big thing.
Yeah, and I think that Jeana definitely, for the most part, always gets me going, but I find myself, at work and stuff, getting a little sidetracked and going off in the corner and building little Halloween props and stuff. So.
Well, Jeana, what made you both decide to begin recording and sharing the Halloween builds on YouTube and creating Hollywood Haunter?
You know, one of the things that Chris and I really like to do is we love to encourage people. It's just, you know, a part of our human nature that we have. And, you know, we just have this absolute love for children and Halloween. And I think all of it just boiled into one thing. We love entertaining people as well. So it was just natural that we said, you know what, we do all of these things. Why not just get online, try it, see if anybody starts watching, and, you know, maybe people can learn stuff or get inspired to do their own thing. And it kind of just took off a little bit. And, you know, we have a small following of Halloween fanatics ourselves and, you know, always learning stuff and growing. And when we see people making their own YouTube videos or they post pictures on our Facebook saying, oh, my gosh, I did this crackle paint you guys taught me how to do, it's the best feeling in the whole wide world.
That's awesome. Now, Chris, you are an amazing carpenter, and I really have to say this. I mean, it's almost too perfect and meticulous. Now, is this a hobby, or do you do this in your day job as well?
Yes, so we definitely, when I've always done carpentry and had some kind of background in that, and then in college where the two of us met in theater and stuff, we both were in the scenic department and doing that kind of thing. So it's just been like building props and scenery has kind of been what we've been basically doing for the last few years.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I don't want to sound like a crazy fan, but I've actually been watching you guys, and I was the one that sort of twisted Lucy's arm to get you guys on the show because I'm a true fan of Hollywood Haunter. I've been watching you for the past year. I'm the one that cannot wait till the weekend to go to YouTube and check out what new videos have been uploaded for the week and what cool tips and you know, sort of the progress along the way, especially this past year or last year's haunt that you did for Grave Rock Gulch, which, I mean, to me was completely amazing the way that you guys set that up. I mean, it blew me away, and I couldn't wait what the next week was, what new building set you did, what new prop you got. Can you share with our viewers or take us through some of the sort of stages, the planning stages of how you came up with this idea of Grave Rock Gulch and how you came up with the design for it?
Sure, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, so I have a lot of Southwest blood in me. And we had been doing a cemetery haunt for, I think, 4 years, and we did, I think it was 2012 was like big. It had mausoleums and crypts and cemeteries, but I noticed the trend in, you know, online and in our neighborhood and stuff where everybody was doing cemeteries, and I was like, you know what, Halloween is so creative, we could do almost anything. So we decided to change it up. So we went to Tucson for Thanksgiving, and we went to Old Tucson Studios, and there's a bunch of, you know, Southwestern restaurants down there, and we just started, you know, getting all kinds of pictures and inspirations. And when we got back, we started planning and plotting, you know, what kind of buildings do you want? What kinds of things do you want the kids to be able to do? And another thing is we really wanted it to be interactive. So families would come and stay for a while, not just get their candy and go. So we had, you know, gold panning sluice box, but instead of, you know, gold, it was fingers and toes and, you know, eyeballs and stuff. And we had a detonator box where the kids could go and blow up the mine shaft where fog and strobe light and sound would come out. You know, behind the jail bars, they could take pictures, and we had, you know, tons of facades. We had a mission and a general store, barber shop.
And once we basically decided what kind of buildings we wanted, as far as the design thing goes, you know, we had pictures to give us ideas, but one big thing that we wanted to do was make sure that we threw the Halloween twist into it and not just have like the Western town. So we were really inspired by Scooby-Doo cartoons and that kind of thing because we wanted to make sure it was still kid-friendly. And what I really liked about it and what the both of us fell in love with is you watch those cartoons, a lot of the windows and walls and things, they're not straight. They're like cockeyed and crooked and stuff like that. So when we drew up our little drawings of how we were going to maybe build the stuff, we made sure that we incorporated like a kind of a cartoon effect to it. So
And I think it really invited the kids because our cemetery scene, it wasn't gory, it wasn't frightening for the kids. It was just kind of an eerie, spooky thing, but kids would not come in the yard. They were really scared of it. I said, it's so fun. And kids just walk past the house. And I know you get a certain, rise out of seeing kids be spooked and scared at Halloween, but I really want the kids to have, really fun memories for when, they grow up and be like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this house that we went to growing up and got to trick-or-treat at. So for some reason, the Western town just really, the kids wanted to come in, they wanted to explore, they wanted to look for things, and it just turned out super awesome.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to actually design the sort of schematic of it? The layout of where you wanted the jail to go, and the ticket booth, and the mission, and all of that stuff. I mean, I guess it was 2012 when you were visiting Tucson, Arizona. You gathered all the material, and you came back. And from, I'm assuming, after the holidays, from January till how long did it take you to sort of plan it all out before you started to build?
Well, a really funny story is because we do production design, we actually got contracted to do a kids camp, a Western town before it. So it's like we had practice before we actually do our haunt, which was really awesome because we did that from January to March, and then after that we did a couple other things. But I would say May, we really sat down the whole month. We measured everything, drew it on paper, just started plotting our ideas and everything, and then June we built the first Undertaker facade, and then after we got done with that one, we take it down and build another one, and take it down and build another one. We did this all in our backyard, and then whatever we had done at the end of September, we just moved it out in the front yard. We still had to build the mission and the jail, but the reason why we waited on those two is because we actually put real stucco on those buildings. So we didn't want to tear it down and then have to patch them back up.
But, again, when it comes to the design time, I think the first thing that we do as far as before building any kind of our structures, because one of our main goals is to try to hide our house now, and what we'll do is we'll measure the yard, and we get the overall size, and then however many buildings we're going to build. Like for the Western town, we had I think 8 or 9 different objects. That kind of helped us decide what size we were going to make them and the layout. And we went ahead and decided to, if from the top view, kind of make it like it's a giant horseshoe. And that's really helpful because when you separate it out and kind of make like a little grid, then you know that you can't build, each facade wider than X number of feet, and then we only wanted to go a certain height. So, and we do try to build everything in 4x8 little pieces so that the two of us can carry everything from the front yard to the backyard and then just assemble it pretty quickly and take it down pretty quickly.
Right, and I want to stress to everybody, this is all done in your front lawn, in your front yard. I mean, this is not a huge lot. I mean, if you go to their YouTube channel, Hollywood Haunter, you can view their front area. It's not overly big, and everything is done out there in the front. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know from watching the videos, Chris, you don't like to paint. And I think Jeana, you may, and I'm not sure if Jeana you leave it up to him, or maybe Jeana prefers to paint better, or whatever that is. But do you guys divide up the labor and the projects, or do you both just do whatever needs to be done and sort of make the decisions as you go along on the project?
I think you're right. I think it comes down to how much time we have and what kind of a mood we're in. So, there's just certain things that Christopher just has, that carpenter frame of mind where he can just get in there and start building something, and then, I can just take over painting it sometimes. But I've learned so much, and some days I'll just hang right next to Christopher's side, and I'll start, screwing or cutting, because there's certain things that it's like, he's like, dude, I have this huge cut list. Jeana, can you just go in there and chop all this wood up for me? And I'm like, absolutely, I mean, he gets technical and fancy sometimes. He's got all these, crazy joint things that he's doing, and I'm like, okay, I don't think I could do that, but
yeah, I think it just works out that way because there's only two of us. You know, if there was more of us, then I think it wouldn't be so much like that. But it's turned into a thing where as fast as we're pumping out, like, objects, they need to be painted and finished. And so, you know, the two of us are just racing to try to get it done and stuff.
Right.
But I prefer not to paint it on my head.
Well, by just seeing your haunts, many people are probably thinking or would think, oh, these people must be rich. They spend thousands and millions of dollars to build these props. But do you get some help with either donations or some other well-known ways to get sort of cheap lumber and cheap materials and things? Can you share with our listeners maybe some tips on how to keep to a smaller budget?
Yeah, no, definitely. So we do come up with a little budget each year that we want to spend, but honestly, for the most part, the big amount of money that we spend is going to be for like props that anyone would have to spend money on, like, you know, like little supplies and things like that. But as far as lumber and wood, we're really fortunate because, you know, we live in a city that's pretty large, and there's always ads on Craigslist and stuff like that, where in websites like where there's freebies, and there's always people, you know, putting stuff out on the curbs, and we're always watching. And also too, like hardware stores, the big ones, they are always giving away, or not giving away, but they have the 70% off discount little cart in the back.
Damaged lumber.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you know, your average person goes, when they have a project, they'll go and they'll pick all the best wood, and so they're left with all this crummy, warped, and crooked wood. And, you know, it's perfect for Halloween stuff. So you can go and get a lot of lumber for pretty cheap. And so we're always looking out for that kind of stuff. And even when you do have to buy, like on Craigslist, like there's people always giving away like big bulks of lumber, and, you know, for $50 or something like that. So, and then we always go and get the Oops paint that's on the racks in the paint department, because that's a big cost, you know, all your paint and stuff like that.
We're always clipping coupons. You know, you can sign us online, and I know you get like 100 emails saying, you know, save 5% this weekend or 50%, but, you know, sometimes the coupon is really good where it's like, you know, save $10 when you spend $50, and so we'll say, okay, how much stuff can we get that we need, and then you still get the $10 off or something. So we try to be as frugal as we can.
Yeah, but we actually don't get any donations for our haunts. We do accept canned foods that we give to the local food bank, which the kids really enjoy doing that. We have like a little coffin that they can put in there. But, you know, we like to keep everything free, and, you know, it's our way of kind of giving back to the neighborhood, and we also really enjoy it. And we have been lucky enough to be able to sell some of, like, because we like to change our themes, we will try to sell some of our decorations once we figure out we don't need them, and then we'll take whatever money that we make from that, and we'll just put it right back into the next year's decoration. So
that's great. That's a smart way.
Yeah. Well, you know what, you guys, you live in California, and seriously, when you see these haunts, I mean, they look huge. Do you need any kind of special permits or special permissions from the city to have such a big haunt on your property?
The thing is we talk to our city guy who comes, who's in charge of our area, and he's really supportive of us because he knows how much it impacts our, you know, community and stuff. And, you know, we have an elementary school right behind us, and I think the kids would just be devastated. Now, I know in a lot of areas you're not allowed to go this big or, you know, permits and stuff like that, but we're definitely under the eye of the city all the time. You know, we work with them, we tell them everything we're doing, and we try to make it as safe as possible for people. I would definitely, you know, start small and just see how your community reacts if you're going to get bigger and bigger, and then just be as nice as possible as you can to the people, because I think that they really want to help you. I think if you're doing something dangerous, I mean, it is their job to go out there and, you know, shut it down or change things around.
It's difficult because, you know, safety is the main thing. So, if you ever had someone come out and they need to have you shut down for any reason, you can't blame them. But one thing I would say is as much as we would love to do a lot of the walkthroughs and the little mazes, we talk about it all the time. I think that's a big difference for us is as long as you stay a display, we tend to be they're more forgiving than when they're little mazes and stuff. And also too, one thing is, since it is decoration and it is temporary, kind of to answer your question, you really can't get permission to do the kinds of stuff that we do. But because it is temporary and you're going to take it down, normally you do have like a 30-day type of a grace period where people, understand and stuff. But it only takes that one neighbor to get you all, all closed down and stuff. So
yeah.
Mhm. Well, you know what? I live in an apartment, so my decorating is limited to like the inside windows and my front door. Do you have any ideas for people in small places?
Absolutely. That's the fun thing is always when you first want to start, just pick the things that you really enjoy and the things that you want to see, or maybe even if you want to keep the kids in mind, what's going to be the most inviting things? Is it just picking up a bag of, cotton cobwebs and a couple, skulls or hanging bats or a bunch of spiders or something like that you can just throw up? And even if you just wanted to take some, black plastic and make a little room outside your front door, when you open the door that it's all black lit or something,
I think in a situation like that, what would be fun if you're really into trying to make kind of like create a little different kind of themed areas. You can go to the hardware store and get, little sheets of 2-inch foam, and you can carve like, basically like a little brick panel and double stick it to your door or your little entry area and kind of create like little crypts or whatever, like if you're inspired by the old black and white spooky haunted shows and stuff and you want to make like Dracula's lair or whatever. So it's just kind of using your imagination and trying to work with some of the materials that you can afford and feel comfortable with doing.
Mhm. Well, okay, besides building your actual structures that you use, we all know that it's the details that make the haunt special, like the skeletons, the gravestones, and the lighting. So let's talk tombstones. What are some cool, easy techniques for making realistic tombstones for a haunt?
The easiest way, I would say, is if you can get some 2-inch foam, and I think they have like blue foam, pink foam, and white foam, and then just pick a pattern that you want your tombstone to be. Super easy. You can just cut it out with a serrated knife, and then what you can do is you can take some sandpaper, sand the edges a little bit. If you want it to be an old broken one, chip some pieces of the foam off. Pick a gray color that you want, or white, or whatever color tombstone. Paint it up. You can, if you have a Dremel, you can print out whatever you want it to say, place that on the paper, transfer the letters, and make your own epitaph.
Yeah, and even if you don't have a Dremel, you can do that same thing and just use like a razor blade and, go through and cut your lettering out.
Take the pieces out, yeah. And things if you have like a heat gun, you can take it to some of the edges and it'll melt it a little bit down so it doesn't look like, chipped off foam pieces. And then take some watered down black and spray it, and you've got yourself an aged tombstone.
Cool.
That's the simplest way.
Cool.
And it's funny because the foam that you can buy in the larger stores like Home Depots and such, you can get them in sheets of 4x8, and I don't even know how many you can get out of that, but you can probably get, I'd say, 6 tombstones, and they're so cheap. And you go to the Hollywood chain stores, and they're like $18 to $25 just for one of those same tombstones. Just the amount of money that you're saving on that is just completely amazing. And besides that, the fun in making that and getting the family involved is worth it to me.
Exactly, and there's so many ways to dress it up. Like, you can just take the tombstone and stick it in your front lawn, but think about putting some, some garden dirt around it, or putting some mulch around it and make it look like, maybe it's risen up a little bit and, over the years it's popping up out of the ground a little bit. Take some Spanish moss and stick it to it.
Yep. Little branches.
Yeah, stick branches around it. I mean, free and easy or really cheap things to do where it goes from just a tombstone in the yard to those little details, and then put a light in front of it, or even make, a little flicker candle and put that right in front of it, and then you've got a little scene right there.
Did you both learn all your techniques by trial and error, or I mean, obviously you guys were in the prop industry in the field, but did you all learn the techniques by trial and error, or were there mentors or someone else that you sort of picked up the skills from?
Well, again, like you just said, we did pick up some things obviously through work and stuff, but there is a lot of trial and error. But as far as like with the Halloween decorations, when we first started out, there is a lot of wonderful threads and forums for Halloween decorating that you can find online. The big thing for me, though, which is another reason why we started the YouTube channel, is I'm like a real visual person, and, even though there's really detailed, threads and stuff on how to build things, it's just easier for me to learn by just watching like a 3-minute video or something on how to do it. And right. So, I think watching videos, getting ideas, looking at pictures, and, just kind of trying to, not necessarily reverse engineer other people's stuff, but just trying to figure out some kind of other way to, maybe try to make those things. And so trial and error is really, really big, I would say. Don't you think, Jeana?
Yeah, definitely. I think most of my painting techniques have come from trial and error. And over so many things, I'm like, I think I'm going to dry brush this, and you start going and you're like, ooh, that just does not look good at all. And I'm really hard on myself, too. I'll start doing something, and it's probably fine, but I'm like, it just doesn't look right. And I'll paint it over, and then I'll go at it again, but I feel a lot more confident, and it totally has to do with the trial and error thing. If there's any technique that I want to learn, I'll go online, I'll do some research, and then I'll just, have a stab at it. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Plus, everything looks better at nighttime in the dark anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Lighting always does wonders, too, right?
Yes, it does.
Well, I wish you guys were my neighbors. I mean, it would be a dream come true. But I'm sure your neighbors may not feel the same. I'm not sure, but they may not feel the same as I do with all the construction and the mess and all the people in the traffic that stop by during Halloween. How friendly are your neighbors, and do you have to do a little bribing to keep the peace?
Well, we're actually really super fortunate because the two actual neighbors that share property lines with us, they both are into decorating for Halloween. In fact, one of them is kind of the ones that got us going, in the first place. But, again, we get a lot of support from all the neighbors and the kids that come to the school that's nearby. I think we only have, maybe a couple neighbors on other streets or a few houses down that they don't really care for the crowd. We're really with the noise. We do live in a city where there's trains, planes, and semi-trucks and police cars and stuff like that, so there's always landscaping and construction going on, so we do get away with, we're really considerate. We always make sure that we work, between 10 and, 5 in the morning. We're always trying to, make sure that we kind of think about those kinds of things. But seriously, we're so lucky in the support that we do get. I feel bad for the time when we move. I know. There's gonna be a little blank hole, and hopefully the people that buy the house or move in are gonna.
I hope they like Halloween or something.
Well, you know what? That's actually a good question. Would you, in moving to a new location, do you consider that, and would you question the neighbors at the new location before you consider buying the new home?
Yeah, I think that would definitely be something, because I really enjoy doing this, and I can't imagine moving into a neighborhood. I'd have to go. I don't know, maybe I could bribe the people who live here. No, I think I would definitely have to, ask around and see, is this a community where people enjoy Halloween? Because I don't know. I know there's a lot of homeowners associations that
those probably, I would imagine.
I'm sure there's some of them where they really enjoy when people, go all out, and then I'm sure there's other ones who want a quiet neighborhood.
Right. You may have to do some sort of reconnaissance mission and do some stakeouts before, during the Halloween season.
I definitely know that if we ever do move, it will have to have a large enough yard and maybe even a bigger yard.
Yeah, it's funny because, honestly, the only downfall, I'd say, to being, like, extreme holiday decorators is, one of the reasons that you fall in love with it is because you enjoy going around and looking at everybody else's wonderful displays and decorations. And when you get so busy doing your own, after a few years, it tends to all of a sudden, like, I never get out of my own yard anymore,
Right. Well, has there ever been a project or a theme throughout the years that either of you wanted to do and the other was just like, no way, we're not doing that, or no, it's too much, or we just can't do that? Any haunt that was sort of shot down by the other?
You know what, Chris and I hate to say it because it sounds so, cheesy, but we really get along really well, and we have, like, one brain. So, just, we just feed off each other and what each other likes, and, we give and take with each other, and it just works. It's weird. It just works. We wanted to do a walkthrough this year, but I'm just thinking because we had almost 1,000 people come last year, and that's a lot of people to put on a property. And I can imagine, I think it's going to be even busier this year, and it's just us two working it. So I just worry that if we don't have help, I don't know. So we just made an interactive display.
Yeah, and the thing is we basically kind of, before we ever start designing, when we come up with what theme we're going to do that year, we've kind of already worked through, what we plan on doing. We have a long list. And we're never finished up until October. I mean, we will honestly work and try to build as much stuff as we can all the way up until the day of. But obviously, there's certain things where we just kind of like we're not going to be able to get that done. And the nice thing is though is that we're real good.
Christopher, are you alluding to the fountain?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely took a long time to finish. So
it's funny because so many people go, would you guys sell that? And I'm like, no, you don't understand how long it took.
That was blood, sweat, and tears in that one.
Oh, my gosh. And every year he was like, it's the last thing I'm going to work on. I'm like, no, can it be the first thing you work on? And he's like, no, we'll do this. And then trust me, we'll have time. And every year I was like, oh, man, it's October 25th. You're not going to get a chance to do the fountain. But you know what? There are so many themes that we would love to do. I mean, we will really try to stay away, I think, from the gore and the really frightening stuff, only because our main goal is to just give the best experience for kids.
Well, not only that, but we kind of feel like there's so many things for older kids and adults to do on Halloween, and it's kind of funny because trick-or-treating's still there, but it's like you got all these attractions that are almost too scary for them.
Yeah, like we have Knott's Berry Farm, and we have the Hollywood Horror Nights, and then we have the Six Flags thing that goes on, and not to mention a dozen other professional mazes that people can go to in town.
Right. I think it's almost, done too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
it's all geared towards teenagers. I mean, there's really not a whole lot for younger kids.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's where the money probably is and stuff, but we can't tell you how much praise we get from parents that we do things for kids. And it's funny, like Jeana said earlier, that we find this with people, they never leave. Like we give probably candy to the same kid 5 times. Like
Well, I know I wouldn't leave. You're saying you're talking about you want to gear it towards the kids. I'm the one that wants to run around and I want to play and explore.
Yeah.
Yeah, are there any stores, I think you mentioned one for, like, hardware, but are there any stores in particular that you favor and recommend for, like, you know, to get props and items?
Oh.
Gosh, if you're going to buy them, Grandin Road has really beautiful things. HalloweenCostumes.com, they just sent us some stuff, and honestly, their website is amazing. I mean, as far as buying costumes, it's super easy. They have a size chart where you actually put in your stuff, and it recommends, like, the size costume you should get. Then they have a ton of props.
Yeah, and one of our favorite store-bought props is everybody kind of calls them Walgreens skeletons.
Those
but
posable skeletons.
Yeah, you can get them at like
awesome.
Costco's and CVS's, and they're you see them everywhere. If you shop around, there's definitely a giant difference in price.
If you're going to get anything, I think one of those posable skeletons, because you can put them in so many different scenes, or you can dress them up however you want to, and they're so much fun to look at.
Mhm.
And, you know, the store, if, you know, not everything is really cheap and chintzy, you can, you know, the creepy cloth that you can put on, drape on anything. They have Spanish moss there. And in fact, if you just want to go and buy some of their tombstones and dress them up to make them look a little bit better, you can always do something like that.
Yeah, and also too, like if you go to spirit stores, they have lots of great decorations. But you know, if you're a person that kind of likes to try to do things yourself, there are certain props that are great to try. Like, for example, a spirit store will sell like a lantern, and it's already, aged and stuff, but they sell that exact same gas lantern like at Walmart or something for like $5 or $6, and you could
take some spray paint to it, sand it down a little bit.
Yeah, and basically do the same thing. Now theirs has like a little battery-operated light, but if you're comfortable wiring up a little light bulb that's just one of those small little
or even if you just wanted to take out the little wick part and put a tea light in there,
exactly.
You could do that.
Yeah.
So shopping must be wonderful with you guys. I mean, do you have an eye during the year? I mean, let's say maybe in the spring you happen to see something and click, I know we can use this. I mean, is that what happens?
Yes, I absolutely love yard sailing and going to estate sales because you never know what item you're going to run across. Like Saturday and Sunday is my favorite because I see those neon signs and I'm like, Chris, turn. I'll stop and I'll browse through and, things that I love to get, or I love to get the artificial plants. If they're a really good deal because you can dress up so many different themes those, and they're always good to have, the old lanterns, the old light fixtures, all of that stuff. And, some people, they really sell it really cheap. And one thing I always tell everyone is don't be afraid to haggle with people, If, the price is $5, say, are you firm on the... Oh, sorry. The dog. Are you firm on this price? Could I give you $4, $3? And some people, they just want to get rid of that stuff, and and then you've got $2 to go spend somewhere else, or bundle stuff together, put little items together, and then be like, can I take all this for $10? And you'd be really surprised if you just open a conversation with people. Most of them are willing to sell it cheaper or give you some kind of deal.
Wow,
Craigslist is a really good place because they have it all fancy now with, like, maps. And I know there's another one, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's something like yard sales, and it gives you a list of all the different ones in your area.
If you start early enough, too, we sure had a lot of fun on the Western Town.
Oh, yeah, that was a
year
blast.
Because we spent... we started early, trying to find, and it was difficult to find, like, old horse reins. We still never found, like, a saddle. We didn't realize how hard it was to get old saddles and that people were really attached to them and you could, like, repurpose them and stuff. So, because, unless you want to spend a bunch of money, you can obviously get those things, but trying to get cheap ones is difficult.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about the important question here. We talked about how long it takes to put it up. How long does it take to take down, and where? Just where do you store it all?
When we first started doing it, we would store it anywhere. So the attic, the side yards, the garage, just under beds and everywhere. And then once we started doing facades, then it really started to become a problem because we couldn't load in wood for new projects and load out. So we eventually got together and said, well, you want to see if someone wants this? And we put our mausoleum crypts up on Craigslist. And someone came and bought it, and it's so fun because they actually took it to Pasadena, and it's in a pro haunt now, and so we can see it every year if we want to. And then the Western town, we did the same thing because we knew we were going to change the theme.
Yeah, it also, too, to answer your question, it's a lot faster taking down than putting up. I mean, we can... What takes us, a week maybe to set up, we can take down in half a day, and and get it out of the front yard, and then just stick it anywhere we can find room for it. But it's funny because again, since where we live and because our yard's so small, and because we do get such great deals on lumber and freebies, it's almost better for us to just get rid of everything and start over each year rather than store it. We have a lot of friends that live in other places where they have bigger yards, and it's harder to get like free lumber and stuff. So it's better for them to probably store it and then reuse it. But for us, it's turned into such a big thing. I mean, that's our major issue that we always have each year. Storage.
Well, this question is for each of you. And out of all of the projects that you've done, either on YouTube or off of YouTube, what is your favorite prop technique or tip that you have ever done out of all the projects that you've completed? Which is your favorite that you've done, Christopher?
For mine, I honestly, I like, I would have to say my favorite thing was playing around with, I always wanted a lot of skulls when we were making our mausoleum back in the graveyard days. So, I just wanted hundreds of them. And so I played around. I had never messed around with doing silicone molds and stuff, and I watched a bunch of tutorials, and I just kind of took a leap of faith, and I actually did mess up the first one that I did, and I think it cost me like $60 or $70 and wasted silicone, because the silicone's the expensive part. But once I got it and I did it again, I bought a bunch of bags of plaster and different things, and I just kept making skulls, and I had a little skull-making factory in the backyard, and it was a lot of fun because I could paint each one different, and chip them up so that some were missing teeth and stuff. So I would say for me, it was definitely making like a bunch of bones and stuff.
Cool. Okay. And Jeana?
I would say mine would have to be the aging wood with the vinegar and steel wool technique. Once I learned that little trick, oh man, I was aging everything, because before I was just using like a watered down brown and black, and it just doesn't make it look as realistic as, the aging with the vinegar solution. So once I learned that, oh man, I was making buckets and buckets of it.
And I know that on both of these techniques that you just both talked about, I know there's videos on your YouTube channel, Hollywood Haunter, that shows on how you make those. So I tell all our viewers out there and listeners to go check out their YouTube channel, Hollywood Haunter, and you can check out those same techniques that we just talked about. Pretty amazing stuff. So, guys, as you drive around your neighborhood, and I think we talked about this a little bit before, but as you drive around your neighborhood during the Halloween season, if you get a chance to, and check out other homes, any homes that you see that you say to yourself, oh, they did some serious, or they need some serious Halloween help, and why? Or any homes that you're sort of jealous of?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of yards that inspire us, definitely, that are in our area, especially, where we're just blown away. I mean, they've got, like, robotic, like, skeletons, like, doing talk shows, and they have these giant water shows, and you're just like, man, we better step up our stuff, As far as, like, we don't ever look at, as far as anybody that needs help and stuff, it's funny because we just get so excited. Even if someone just puts a little ghost out or a little tombstone. And the other day we went for a walk and we saw there was just a little rubber rat that someone set on their porch, and it's like, oh, there's a Halloween decoration.
I will tell you, when we first started doing this 6 years ago, we just made 4 plywood tombstones. We bought a bale of hay or straw and put it in front, and then we sat on the rest of it and passed out candy, and then we put a little guy in the corner of the house, and the kids would come up, and they'd be like, is that guy real? Is that guy real? And would scare the kids, and I'm like, well, if you go shake his hand, I'll give you an extra piece of candy, and they're like, no way, and they run off, and that was really fun, but we only had like 25 to 30 trick-or-treaters, and I was like, oh, no, this is not going to fly. So every year, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We've even noticed in the neighborhood more people starting to decorate, and they've started to decorate earlier. So some people will throw their Halloween decorations out at the end of September now rather than the end of October, which I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, because honestly, I kind of I do miss the days of being a little bit more, like having less and being more simple as far as the yard display, because I think the kids, they were more scared back in the day. When you had like 2 objects in the yard, they weren't, they didn't trust you. Now it's like, our displays have become so there's so much going on that I think it's just like, oh wow, really cool, but the scare factor's kind of left, and there's just so much to check out and look at. I don't even think half the people see half the detail that we do, before they leave, but yeah, I mean, you can do so many fun things. It's really about just being festive and getting out there and doing some stuff.
I do wish that some of our neighbors on our street, like across the street, would decorate. They do put a pumpkin out and stuff, but I'm like, can't you just put, like, a couple pumpkins out or maybe some lights or something? I mean, you're across the street. So, I don't know, maybe this year they might do a little bit more. I'm hoping they do. We actually have new neighbors that moved kitty corner from us, and we started putting stuff up, and you could just see their eyes like, whoa, what neighborhood is this?
But if anybody out there starts decorating and they haven't been doing it, and they might be the only ones on their street or in their neighborhood, what ends up happening is the neighbors will come over and ask for candy if they think it's because of you that now their street's all crowded.
Yeah. Yeah, our neighbors, you've been warned, buy lots of candy because the kids are coming.
Right. Well, our show is about the paranormal, and so it's only natural that I ask the question, have either of you ever experienced a spirit or a ghost in real life?
I will tell you that, I am someone who believes in angels and demons, and when I was younger, my friend and I were playing with the Ouija board, and I'm not supposed to play with that stuff. My parents were always like, Jeana, don't touch that stuff, And, when you're a little girl, you want to experience stuff. So we were playing. We had, like, Enigma playing in the background. We had candles lit, and I thought it was super fun, or whatever, but it really started to get intense in the room, and you just feel like this really heavy stuff going on, and I'm like, okay, maybe we should turn the light on and go outside and play or something, And I kid you not, in her closet, I don't know, her cat started screaming at the top of its lungs and, like, freaked us out. Like, I don't think I've ever been so startled by something in my life. Jumped up, like, as high as it could, got caught in the clothes, and, like, ran to the front door. We opened it. We went outside and started playing. But and then I never messed with anything again because I'm like, you know what? I just think that was my warning. You know what? Stay in the positive light.
Yeah. The only thing I think I grew up in Alaska, and so there was lots of woods, and in the wintertime all the leaves would fall off the trees, and so you had a lot of sticks and just really, really, thick, types of woods, and I'd have to sometimes walk to a friend's house through some of these little trails that we would do for shortcuts, and I think more than anything, I probably was just psyching myself out, but I'd be walking and I'd hear sticks go snap, snap, and I would just run like the wind, and it really, really freaked me out, and I felt like there was lots of ghosts and stuff chasing after me.
Well, you briefly mentioned your dog, okay, and this just popped in my head. I mean, my dog would always try to tear down whatever decorations I had. How do animals react to the haunt?
That's a really funny question. Our dog likes to sniff around, and our cat actually has had this new thing where she wants to go outside, and she actually likes to drink out of the fountain. So I go out there, and she crawls, through the haunted house, and then she goes straight to the fountain, and she gets a drink, and I'm like, okay, you are so bizarre.
Yeah, we actually kind of feel bad. Our dog, he has a little crate, the little travel crate that he likes to hang in. And to be honest with you, our thunder and lightning and some of our pneumatic props, like our air cannons and loud bangs and stuff that go on, it actually kind of scares him. So he'll just run in his crate and stay there all night.
No. How big do you guys want to take your haunts? I mean, do you eventually want to possibly open up an attraction or even a prop making business?
Yeah, I mean, anything that Christopher and I can do together and do creatively, we would be happy totally doing that. I mean, if someone approached us and said, I've got an idea for a haunt, do you guys want to help us build stuff? We would be there.
Totally.
I don't want to do the management, and I don't want to do the paperwork. I'll do the creative stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a little bit of fear of that, like if it becomes a job, is it going to still be fun for us type of thing. But we'll keep decorating.
Absolutely.
Every year we always say, well, maybe we'll take this year off, and then we don't. The closer it gets to Halloween, we're like, well, maybe we can put a little bit of stuff out.
Well, the most important thing that I noticed while watching your videos is that you both genuinely are having fun during the entire process. I mean, with such a huge project, I must feel this. There must be some times when there are frustrations, when things aren't just working out right, or, the build isn't working, or the mechanism is not working right. Do you both feel that way sometimes? And if so, what do you recommend to people on how to work through it so that the fun isn't lost?
Absolutely. And it probably happens more than, the average person would think watching us. It's just the stuff we don't show on camera. But, take the bell-shaped roof for this year's haunted house. Christopher, he took on a challenge, and I think it took him 3 days to figure it out, but it's just trial and error going after it, and he was really getting discouraged, and I was like, you know what, Chris, it's going to look awesome when it's done. You just have to be really patient, and just know that, you just have to step back, look at it, take a deep breath, or go work on something else. I mean, there's so many things you can work on during the Halloween period, and I always say tackle the hardest stuff first. I mean, if you know something is going to be time-consuming and you're going to have difficulty doing it, but you really want to, get that done, try to tackle it first. That way everything else is easy after it, and you feel like you've accomplished so much, whereas you can do the small stuff first, and then that last thing, you may just, put it aside and never come back to it again.
Yeah, and also, too, I think the biggest thing for us is it has been, you get an idea. I think this goes with any hobby, really if you're being creative and building something or making something, but you get an idea in your head of what you want it to look like, and then what it ends up looking like sometimes is different, and you have to be okay with, not necessarily settling, but adjusting the way you're thinking to where, you can kind of move on, and also, too, realize that the people that come look at your decorations, they don't know what your idea was in your head in the first place, so when they see your stuff, they really think it's great. And so, you just have to be okay with kind of, saying, that still looks good, or, well, change this idea and make it do this type of thing, so.
Right.
Well, okay, so if our listeners are thinking about going big this year with their home haunts, what do you suggest they do, and where should they start?
you should definitely pick a theme first. I think if you get an idea of what you want, try to look up, different things to inspire you for those things, and then just take a couple of those ideas and start working them out. So if you want to do a carnival theme or a voodoo swamp theme, even a cemetery, I mean, there's so many things that you can do. But if you pick a theme, it's really going to help you narrow down and focus. And then I think, just pick the elements that you really want your neighborhood and what you want to enjoy too, because I mean, as much as it is for the kids, it's for yourself as well. And you want to do stuff that you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, and look on the internet, too, and see, watch some videos of, like, different Halloween props, and you may, see something that you're like, hey, I really want to make that, and if it's a pretty good tutorial, like how to, like, make something out of maybe some PVC pipe and, like, a little figure or something, once you make one, it's kind of like it gets the ball rolling, you feel comfortable for the next prop and the next prop, and then go from there. That'll help.
And work on it. Work on it a little bit at a time.
Well, you know what, guys? I'm excited now. I can't wait to start making some props for my house and my desk at work. But we want to thank you, Christopher and Jeana, for such an amazing night. We've learned so much from you both. Where can our listeners go to see these awesome haunts and to keep up with your updates?
You can go to our Facebook page at Hollywood Haunter, our YouTube to learn all of our tricks and tips on our YouTube Hollywood Haunter, or if you just want to type in HollywoodHaunter.com, you can go to all of them. We have a Pinterest page. We have a very sad Twitter, so don't go there.
Too. We need to focus a little bit on that, but
But if you're a Facebook person and you want to like us on there, go for it. And then we post every video that we put on YouTube up there, and still pictures and just odd things throughout the season and throughout the year, in fact.
Yeah, and if anybody starts a project and they have any kind of questions,
for sure.
If they comment, we're pretty good about trying to write back and helping as the best that we can. Too.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. So everybody, check out Christopher and Jeana and Hollywood Haunter on Facebook, on Twitter, Pinterest, and of course YouTube for an unbelievable experience and haunts. Thank you again, guys, for an amazing time tonight, and we both wish you a hauntingly good Halloween.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris and Jeana. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, and I'm going to be checking you guys out soon on YouTube.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, guys. Happy Halloween.
All righty.
I'm excited. I want to do something now.
Well, I'm actually putting up my Halloween decorations, well, not mine, my sister and brother-in-law's Halloween props, front lawn props tomorrow, after the rain ends, I think, and depending on how the weather goes, probably Sunday as well. So there goes my weekend. But and we're doing a Ghostbusters theme. That's what we're doing. So we've got the Slimer and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and the three Ghostbusters with the we bought the what is it, the rope light, so that it looks like as though that the guns are shooting out and getting the Slimer. I mean, I'll take pictures and you guys will probably see it. I'll put it up on my personal Facebook page. But I love doing it. I love, me. I mean, I have Halloween in my bedroom all year long.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, I've posted
when
pictures
they were
before.
talking about the skeleton, I mean, your skeleton is out all year round.
Yeah, it's right next to my desk here. It's just leaning up against the shelf over here, just looking at me as I'm on the radio right now. So, and it's a posable one, so it's just leaning. Mm-hmm. But I love Hollywood Haunter. I love these guys. I love Jeana and Christopher. I'm not exaggerating. That they are the cutest, most adorable couple that you can ever watch on YouTube. They are they're so cute to work together. It's almost sickening in a way. That they just work so well. It's like, come on, there's got to be something wrong with both of you. But there isn't, and so you just love them. But what they put on, and at the end of it all, just the two of them. Maybe they have some help, but just the two of them. It's just amazing. I mean, I don't even see the most professional haunt attractions put on what they put on. I mean, the detail, and you talked about this. You asked them the question about it. The devil is in the detail. The detail. I mean, they do crackle paint on some of the facades that they build. Crackle paint. Come on now. I mean, it's dark at night, and you've got lighting and fog and everything. Who's going to notice crackle paint? They will. They do. And so they know that it's there. And the true the true essence of the value of what they put into these haunts and bringing it to date and to a realism is the professionalism that they in their heart and soul that they put into all of their props. And especially from last year, 2013, they getting all of those old ghost town western props was very difficult. And I remember watching all of the updated videos that they had a hard time finding a lot of the pieces, and a lot of the pieces were just hanging on the side of some of the facades. They weren't, actual action pieces. They were just props that were hanging on a wall. And all the effort that they went into just to find them, just to be, hung up on a wall, it just needs to be appreciated more. And I mean, I appreciated it more. But I love them, and I wanted to have them on just to share who they are as just a regular California couple who puts on these Halloween haunts in their front lawn, and how they've grown over the years, how dedicated they are. And I just thought, what an amazing couple, first of all, to find two people who are such fanatics of Halloween. It's unreal to find two people who are, sort of in love, married, who love Halloween like that. Is unreal. First of all, it's so unlikely. And then to put on masterpieces like this, I just thought was amazing, and to share it with everybody, to be able to give out hints and tips and techniques and share with everybody, and hopefully maybe some of the things that they talked about tonight would help you if you are probably going to be, again, like I said before, going in the attic tomorrow morning and grabbing at your stuff. Maybe you can think about maybe going to Home Depot and getting that 2-inch insulation foam that I know is very cheap. It's like $17 or $18, and I know you can probably get at least 6 tombstones out of that. All you got to do is paint. And I know this tip, and I can share this tip with everybody, that if you have spray paint at home, if you spray paint insulation foam, it actually creates the spray paint itself, the chemicals in the spray paint, eats away at the foam. So it creates that stone effect. So if you lightly spray the foam itself, it does the work for you, and it creates the stone effect. So if you buy a gray, or if you already have gray spray paint at home, all you got to do is spray it, and voila, you have a tombstone. You have a grave marker right there. And you don't have to get a Dremel if you don't want to, and personalize the name on it. You can get a marker and just write out, whatever names you want to write on it. I mean, for goodness sake, it's in the dark. Nobody's going to really see those little details. But here you've got 6 tombstones for $20 plus the price of the can of spray paint. There you go.
That's why I wanted to ask. I mean, because when you look at this video, the first video I watched was the one from last year, the ghost town. Mm-hmm. You have to see this. If you have not gone to YouTube and watched this,
it's called Grave Rock Gulch.
Grave Rock Gulch. They talked about it, the stucco. I mean, this building, the front of this building that they've done, you absolutely swear that it's a real building. I mean, they actually...
There's multiple buildings.
It is amazing.
There's a dentist, there's an undertaker, there's a ticket booth, there's a jail. I mean, it's a town in their lawn.
It's a town in their front lawn. So it's not like you're not... I mean, when you look at the video, you're thinking, oh, wow, this has got to be on, like, some big lot. It's not. This is in their front yard. This is absolutely... It's amazing. It's so much fun. And that's the other part. Watching the videos, you really get a sense of how much fun they're having. It's not so much the end result. It's everything that they put into it. You get the sense that this is really fun. And so if you really do enjoy the decorating and you enjoy putting the stuff up, it's so cool to know that there's somebody else who's enjoying this just as much as you are. It's amazing. I am totally blown away by the things that they've done. And it really does give you inspiration. Like I said, I only have a small area to do, but you can make it just as spooky. And you know what? Some of this stuff that you're building doesn't have to be just for Halloween. Trust me, I'm going to build some stuff, and it's going to stay up all year round. You know?
I don't know if my sister is listening. Shh. I don't know if she's listening to the show. But we'll talk low. Maybe she can't hear me. But she tends to buy all of the props, and she thinks that if you buy it, it looks better, and it is better. And I try and convince her every single year that I can make them, and all you need to do is just buy the materials. Like, I can make stand-up bodies, you know, and just buy clothing. All you need to do is buy 2x4s, and I can make the skeleton of a body, and you can buy clothes and dress it, and you can make people standing in your front yard, and you buy a mask, and that's it, and there you go, instead of spending $80 for a stand-up prop. But my sister doesn't understand that. Shh, I don't think she's listening. Shh. Shh. I don't think she's listening. But anyway... That's what you can do. You don't need to buy these props. I mean, yes, some of these props are really cool looking. I think, and that's where they get you. That's where, you know, they suck in the consumer, that they make them really cool. Some of them I go into Spirit Halloween all the time. I mean, I love going in there. I tend to not buy a lot of things. I'll go in there and I'll buy little things here and there. I have a sick fascination with, I mean, you know this, with skeletons, with skulls. And so I go in there and I'll just buy a skull just for the hell of it. I like to put it everywhere in my house. And so if I see a new skull, a cool-looking skull, a different-looking skull, I'll just buy it just for the heck of it. But I also like to go into Spirit Halloween to get inspiration on things and to see how they've made things, or to see what technique they've used as far as painting techniques on faces. And so I'll remember those. I'll register in that in my head, and I'll keep that in mind. And so those are the things that I will hold on to, so that if people have asked me, and I work in the event industry, and so there are things that I have made by myself or on my own to be used at events, or that I've used for Halloween or even for Christmas decor that we've done, that we didn't need to buy. Do you remember one year when I told you, Lucy, that we did the Michael Jackson Thriller theme? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so my sister wanted to do the Michael Jackson Thriller song, and that was the Halloween decor. And so we had Michael Jackson in the front, and I had built all of the zombies behind him, and it was the Thriller theme video song, and that was the Halloween decor that we did. Could you imagine how much it would have been if we would have bought all of these stand-up things? And my sister was about to go and buy all of these stand-up bodies, and I said, "Are you kidding me? You would spend at least $1,000, at least $1,000 with that." And I said, "You are on crack. You can't do that. You're ridiculous." So I made my brother-in-law just go buy 2x4s, and we just built really simple, stupid frames of it, and I wrapped the frames of the 2x4s. We built the 2x4s into the skeleton frame of a stick figure, and I wrapped the frame of the body in bubble wrap or in old sheets. Anything that I had, I taped them together around wrapped them around the 2x4s to give it more bulk, just to give it a more of a body frame to it. And then I went into my clothes, into my attic. My sister went into her old clothes that didn't fit her anymore or whatever, and just pulled out pants and shirts and stuff that we didn't like anymore. I'm sure everybody's got that in their closet right now, and pulled it out and just tattered it up, cut it up. I ran it through the mud. I rubbed it along the sidewalk and along the grass, and just really made it look dirty. And then dress these stand-up dummies. I had some old costumes that I had that I wasn't going to use anymore. I had some doctor costumes. I think my sister had a nurse costume. And again, we tattered these up and we put them out there. And it made it look as though that they were the zombies behind the Michael Jackson. The only thing that we did buy was the Michael Jackson outfit, because we didn't have that already, and the Michael Jackson mask. That was it. I had old heads, old masks that we just stuffed the face with bags, plastic bags, wrapped it around the 2x4 top, because all we did was leave the 2x4 sticking up, wrapped it around, and that was it. I mean, it didn't look like $1 million piece, but it did the trick. We did lighting, we had the fog machine, and we had the music out there. That's all that you need. You don't need to spend so much money.
Well, going into Spirit, I love going in there, but everything is so expensive. And so that's where the creativity comes in, just like you do. You go in, you look for the inspiration. There's simple things that you can do. Also, too, a little bit of lighting goes a long way. You can have something that, you put together real simple, and that lighting, it could even be old Christmas lights or something like that. The lighting really does go a long way. It could just be a simple strand of Christmas lights, the white ones. That light, the blinking, all of it. When you put it all together, it's just simply amazing. But see, that's the whole thing. I look at these videos that they've put up, and the creativity just blows me away. There's so much that you can do. And I love the whole idea that it's kid-friendly. That's the whole thing. Like I said before, all these haunted houses that you see around, all these attractions, they're really all geared towards teenagers and adults. There's really not a whole lot for kids. And I commend them so much for gearing everything towards kids in mind. I think that absolutely is the best.
One of the things, again, it's a running theme with Chris and Jeana's videos, is all the while that they are filming and recording and putting it out there on YouTube, is you can truly see the fun that they have in the build and putting it all together. Now, obviously, as Jeana was talking earlier when we were interviewing, you don't see the frustrations. Obviously, you're not going to see the frustrations. Mm-hmm. But you do see the fun of it all. And that, again, is the essence that I wanted to put forward, is within all of this and all that you do, don't make it so that you get frustrated, that you create this project of trying to put on a Halloween haunt for your house or this Halloween decor for your home, that it becomes a hassle. It shouldn't. You want it to be fun. You want it to be engaging, interactive. You want it to be, if you have a family, you want it to be a family thing, and gear it towards that way. If something is not working out right, just like Christopher said, at the end result, if it doesn't turn out to what you originally thought of or is not exactly what the inspiration picture looked like, hey, nobody knows what you thought it was. Nobody knows what the original picture was. Nobody knows what your original thought was to begin with. They're just seeing it as a really cool end result. And if it works, it works. Who really cares? But just have fun with it. That's what the whole Halloween season is all about, is having fun. I mean, the idea is to put smiles on kids' faces and adult faces. I mean, yes, this holiday is for kids, but it's also for adults too. I mean, I'm going to say it. This is my holiday. This is my holiday, and it will always be my holiday. I love the month of October. This is when I come alive. First of all, I love the weather. I love the feeling of it. I love the media during this time. I love the music. I love everything about October. And so this is sort of like the rebirth. It's sort of, I don't know, it's sort of weird. And then when November 1st comes around, I get depressed. It's sort of weird. I go into a depression state. But have fun with Halloween and keep that in mind when you're doing these Halloween decorations. And again, I sort of alluded to it in my introduction. If you've got cobwebs in your wallet, when you should have them on your front lawn, don't expect a lot. If you don't have a lot of money, you don't need a lot. You really don't. There are things that you can probably find around your house that you can recycle into a Halloween decoration that you can bring back into the home after that time. And who says you need to do it on October 1st or October 3rd? You can do something only on Halloween. If it's something that you don't want to leave outside every single day for 30 days because you don't want to ruin something, if it's something that you want to bring back into the home that you're recycling because you don't have money to buy a decoration, then only do it on Halloween. I mean, obviously that's the only day that everybody in your neighborhood is going to see it anyway, really. And that's the only time when the kids are going to enjoy it because that's when they're going to be most interactive with it. Then only do it on Halloween then. Do it that day and embrace it more. Be out there with the kids. Start at whatever time you want to and be outside. Have more of an interaction. Be the host of your front yard. Or if you don't have a front yard, embrace it in your apartment and be outside your front door in your hallway, and invite the kids as they're coming by, invite the adults or whatever, or, have a little get-together with folks just on that day and show off what you've done and be a little bit more engaging.
Well, see, that's the one thing that I want to kind of touch on. I mean, I don't know what it's like there, but here in the city in Chicago,
you need to pack a gun?
Yeah, you kind of. And so people are really kind of hesitant about letting the kids run around. Here you have a home that's all set up. It's geared for kids. Parents can come with their kids. It's kind of like a safe environment. It's just one place. And if one house does it and then the next house does it, who says that you have to run around all over the neighborhood? You got one block here with 4 different houses, and I guarantee you the kids are going to have a great time. The other part that really I get excited about is the dressing up. I see people, they go and they buy like these expensive costumes. It doesn't have to be that way. Thrift stores, flea markets, you can put together an awesome display, an awesome costume, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. You really don't. That's why I really enjoy talking to them, to Christopher and Jeana. You could do so much with just a little bit of money. And I'm telling you one thing, my favorite part of Halloween is dressing up. I love that part of it. I love being someone else for one day.
We have somebody on the line, and I think I know who it is. Yes, sir. Can I help you?
I don't know if I'm welcome to come on. This is Noah Tysick, your faithful fan and listener. I had to chime in. You guys are getting me excited.
Of course you are welcomed, and I know we always excite you.
Just by our sexy voices.
Well, I heard your sexy voices. I'm like, I don't want to break up what they got going here, but I want to chime in. Everything.
Share what's going on in that mind of Noah.
In the mind of Noah, I love what you guys are saying because you're giving a full array of ways people can really enjoy the holiday. And I agree, stores like Spirit Halloween, here in Michigan we have Halloween USA, I don't know about other people. They have a lot of interesting props, and I think people go in there thinking they have to spend a lot of money to really have a good time. But the truth is, like you guys, I've gotten a lot of inspiration going in there. It just kind of gets me in the mood, kind of like watching Magnum P.I. I'm kidding. But it gets me in the mood. So my brother, I have to give him credit, my brother Mike, he's always had the most elaborate haunts. And we've had as many as 15 people in his yard as different characters and things like that.
Do you help him put it all together?
Absolutely. And the one year that was my favorite is my partner Ryan. I happened to have a Frankenstein mask that was made up just like Boris Karloff. All he did was stand still in the yard and barely move. People didn't know if he was real or not. I dressed like an undertaker. I had a shovel in the yard, in one corner of the yard, and all I did was stare at people, and it terrified them. And if it was kids, I would look away. So because I know as a kid, I was terrified of that stuff.
Right.
But one of the most memorable nights I ever had was very simple. And Lucy, you talked a lot about lighting, and Anthony, you mentioned it too. My home in Saginaw, Michigan, when I lived there, we had just exterior lighting behind our shrubs in front of our house. Halloween came. I didn't have a lot of time to decorate that year. I changed all the light bulbs to green from the dollar store, and then in the house, I changed all light bulbs in the front part to red. So we had that setup that made it kind of spooky. And I played Marilyn Manson. Very lightly, nothing bad, but just to kind of create some tension for people. And then two of us hid in the shrubs by the porch, and my friend at the time, he gave out the candy. He was dressed up, and we were all black. And those, you can get these at Halloween USA and Spirit. Have you ever seen those faces that are male or female, just clear plastic?
Yes.
It distorts your appearance. All we did was sit in the shrubs and look up. And the number of responses we got was 100-fold compared to a more elaborate gathering, because they heard the ominous music, they could see the lights, they're walking down our long block and they can see the lights, and they don't know what to expect. And once they get their candy and they would see our faces, I had people that would leap down all 7 steps. If there were kids, we would just duck our heads down, because I thought, I'm not going to traumatize a kid. I don't want a little Tinkerbell to wet herself or anything like that. But if they were older, I would even, because one really effective thing I found with a mask is if you put black makeup just around your eyes, it takes that human element out and adds a depth. And if people try this, they're going to see how effective it is. Just a little black makeup around your eyes with a mask on top makes your eyes stand out, and it looks a little less human, a little less mask-like. And that black around her eyes really was effective in scaring the crap out of these people. And
right.
Probably one of my lowest budget Halloween things was one of my best.
Well, I sort of equate that to the movies, and that's why I've always said that I love the horror movies and the horror flicks from the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. It wasn't all the gore and the CGI effects and stuff that we're doing now. It was that suspense music and the quiet moments where nobody was even talking. That's what scared the crap out of me, and it was that's how simple it was to just make me pee my pants. I mean, that's all you need.
A surprise.
Yeah.
Like you said, Noah, people didn't know what to expect, and all of a sudden you walk up and here's this face. Boom. That's the fun. That's where it's at. I will admit, though, the only thing that I really, really, and I've decided that I'm going to do it, the biggest financial outlay that I'm going to do, I've got to get the contacts that are like white with the pupils. I have to get those. I want to invest in those.
Why? What are you going to be?
I don't know yet, but I really want the contacts.
Oh, boy.
I'll get the contacts and work around it.
I agree, Lucy. Sometimes buying that one small touch can help.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I thought about it. This year I'll probably do it. I also noticed they have these vampire teeth that you can buy now where you take your tongue and you can actually make the fangs drop out suddenly.
Ooh, True Blood teeth.
Have you guys seen those?
No. Not in the store yet.
They have them at Spirit Halloween.
Okay.
They're simple fangs. They're simple. It looks like your real teeth, and then with the slip of your tongue, these long fangs come out. And I think that with very little provocation, you could really get some very funny results and humor a lot of people all of a sudden becoming a vampire. They're very realistic and they're reasonable, but that's a worthwhile investment too, like the contacts.
Okay, so now on my list I've got the drop-down teeth, and I think I'll change the contacts to red. See, you just created my costume right now.
Good. Well, hey, if I get them, I may wear them all the time. So when I'm teaching, if students act up, I'll just flick my tongue and kind of bring them under subjection again.
That would be awesome.
One of the things that what was it, Lucy? You were asking. I think it was one of the last questions you were asking, and Jeana had mentioned if our listeners wanted to start big, where should they start, or where should they begin? And she was talking about themes, and one of the themes that popped, that sort of, made me sort of say, what? And I know, Noah, you had mentioned it in chat. It was the Voodoo Swamp, and I'm like, I never even thought of doing that as a Halloween theme for a front lawn. How cool would that be?
Oh my
front
God.
lawn. I want to do this on my desk. I always, every year, my desk at work has something Halloween on it. Like last year was little lighted pumpkins. I collect voodoo dolls. My voodoo dolls are going to work with me, and my desk is going to be a little voodoo temple. I mean, this is awesome. But the Voodoo Swamp, that is like so perfect.
But Noah, a Voodoo Swamp.
That put a hitch in my giddy up because I thought to
yeah.
myself, a little green lighting, and all you would have to have is, you could go online and find some just simple drumming, and that drumming would create anxiety as people came up your block,
right,
your house, and once you hit the whole voodoo scenario, people would, I think, because they're so afraid of it, that they would walk away wondering if they should even eat your candy.
Right.
If you do that, you're done your chore for Halloween.
Oh my God! Oh, you can even have eye candy in the shape of eyeballs. That would be.
They have it. They have that. They do candy that's like eyeballs. That's perfect.
I'd love that idea.
My whole thing, I want to do the voodoo thing. See, I'm really thinking now because we're coming into busy season at work, so they're talking about possibly sharing desks. Well, I want to make it where anybody is going to think twice before they share my desk. It's like I want to have.
Just don't get yourself fired, please.
She'll get respect.
Yeah,
that's right. But that's awesome. The voodoo thing, I never really thought of it in terms of Halloween. This is like a whole new idea now that I can plan around. And again, too, like they said, there's things that you can do if you live in an apartment. I don't have the front yard. So, yeah, you can make, the doorway. I really like the idea of having the little dark area right around your doorway. I think that's awesome. And, when the kids, they trick-or-treat in the building, that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. The things that you can do in a small area, you don't have to have the front yard. I mean, sure, it's great. I mean, I want to buy a house just to have a yard now to decorate, but you can do so much with just a little space and not a whole lot of money. And I think that's the best thing that we talked about tonight, is that you don't have to break the bank. You don't have to go out and spend it. Because like I said, I've gone into Spirit in past years, and I've spent a fortune. You don't have to do it. Now, the other part about it, which we really haven't touched on, are costumes. I have always, when my son was growing up, I always made his costume. I know they have all these costumes that, they look all fantastic and stuff, but it just takes a little bit of creativity. You can make such an awesome costume. I mean, you really can. So
you know what I did one year? You know
yeah.
what I did one year, and this is, I think, the cheapest costume that I have ever made. I can't tell you how many years ago it was. I'm guessing 5 years ago, maybe it was, or 6 years ago. Do you remember when there was that whole big thing about the swine flu?
Mhm.
It came out. There was like the swine flu was like the biggest,
Yes.
sort of scare that everywhere. Oh my God! It's sort of like the Ebola, the thing that's going around now of the craze. All I did was I went to I think it was in the dollar store or something, and I got this foam pig's nose that was on an elastic thing, and I wrote on a T-shirt "swine flu," and I went to a party with that. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, that's a cool costume! That's a cool costume!" That's it. I think I spent maybe
awesome.
like $4.
Yeah. God, what was it? And no offense to anyone, Connie, trailer trash. One year, all I bought was a fake blonde wig. I put on a flannel shirt
no
and a
offense,
low-cut
Connie.
Because Connie has moved into a trailer.
Oh, she's going to beat your ass now.
I mean, it was like
shit.
This awesome costume because it was just a blonde wig, a whole bunch of makeup, and a pack of cigarettes hanging out of my pocket, and it was probably the cheapest and most fun costume that I had made in years.
Lucy, that idea backfired on me. I said I'm going to be a redneck one year. And again, my apologies to anybody that considers themselves that. I wore a wife beater, an NRA hat that was my father's, some beat-up jeans. I rolled the cigarettes up into my wife beater. I put on a mustache, and after I saw the photos after Halloween, I looked like more of a member of the Village People than a redneck. It was bad, and I had a girlfriend at the time, so I thought if she doesn't think that, then I lose all hope in everybody because I was ready to be the Y and the YMCA. It was bad.
I want to see pictures.
I might incriminate myself and put it on Facebook. But I don't want to hog the line, you guys. I appreciate you letting me talk a little bit, and again, thanks for all you do. And I hope that you guys have a lot of fun this Halloween. And,
you too. And is your brother getting ready to do his haunt this year?
He is not this year. He's moved, so he's kind of in a transitionary phase. So this year, it's kind of up in the air what we're going to do. But either way, I will probably dress in black, wear a pig's mask, and crawl on all fours wherever I am. Scare people.
Wait, that's what you do every night, though.
That's true. That's true. I might have to walk
that's like
upright.
Every Saturday night?
You don't know me. Yes, you do. Thank you, Lucy.
Oh,
and
yes,
Anthony.
we do.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Noah. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. There's blackmail pictures on me on one costume that I was many moons ago.
And what kind of costume was this?
Did you ever watch the show Martin?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Why are you laughing?
Go on. Go on.
Do you know the neighbor that lived across from Martin?
Yes. Oh, no.
What was the neighbor's name?
I don't remember. Wait. Oh, God. Let me look this up real quick.
Very, very unique neighbor that I'm sure everybody remembers. I'm waiting to see if anybody in chat remembers the name of the neighbor that lived across from Martin and, oh, my God. Yes, no one knows. Shanae.
There you go. You did not.
I did. And oh boy, did I ever. And I made the entire costume myself. I actually did the braids in the hair. I had my girlfriend at the time. She bought this thick elastic. I don't know what it is. It was some thick elastic string that she got at some fabric store, and she braided it together, and she put it on a skull cap, and she put beads on the bottom of it. So she hot glued them all on this cap all over the place. And I don't know if you were here. Did you ever see me when you were here? I had in one of the videos that we had, do you remember I had the cape? There was the gold cape.
Yeah.
That was actually the sash that I had. That was the skirt that covered the big booty from Jeana. I had the fanny pack. I have to find the pictures. I think I have them somewhere. I am not posting them. I will just show Lucy. That's it. And I'm not going to send it to you because I don't want you posting them either. But no, I'm not sending photos. No. But that was fun. And I made that costume by myself. I mean, obviously there wasn't a costume to be bought of that anywhere. Mm-hmm. But it was fun. It was
oh God. Halloween is just the most fun. I've always sewn. So I've also one year I made a Raggedy Ann costume, and I kind of like just changed it a little bit. That was someone stole it. Someone borrowed it and never gave it back. So I made it one year. It was just like this little pinafore, short dress with bloomers underneath, and walked around with a big old giant lollipop. I think I could have made a whole lot of money that night. You know?
You could probably be paid for that.
No, Halloween is it's just fun. I mean, just talking about it, I'm just like so excited about it. I can't wait. I really can't wait. This
but you
is
know,
like it's fun time.
I'm not into the dressing up part of it. I'm more into, doing up the house, doing up, the props and everything. I like doing that because what I like is the enjoyment that I get out of decorating and making props. The enjoyment that I get is watching people's faces as they experience it. I love to see either, and if it doesn't scare them, I like to see when they laugh. Or if it does scare them, I like to see that they get frightened. Either reaction I love, so it's not a matter of, oh, shoot, I didn't scare them. It doesn't matter to me if I didn't scare them. If I did, great. If I didn't, it doesn't matter. It's the reaction that I get. It's them looking and seeing and trying to sort of, it's like investigating. It's just the experience alone is, and them experience what I put on, and then after I don't have people trekking through my house, so when I do it, it's sort of like I'll invite family and friends over for a party, and that's what I've always done pretty much every Halloween, and they're always excited because they know that I always go completely crazy. Oh, here's a tip. I can actually share a really cool tip that I did one year. 3 years ago, it was in this apartment. 3 years ago, I went online and I bought shelf paper. And I bought shelf paper that was in the design of, it had that wood tone to it. So it looked like wood planks. So the shelf paper that you buy to cover the shelving in your cabinets? I bought rolls of that, rolls and rolls of it. I can't tell you how many rolls I did. But what I did was I used that roll, those rolls of shelf paper that look like wood, and I used it as wallpaper in my hallway. And so what I did was I found the wood tone one, and then I found some really crappy, it looked like, really cheap, it looked like 1970s shelf paper. I mean, it had like a green or ornate design to it. I mean, it was really ugly looking. It was something that I would never think about putting on my shelf. But it would really look cool as an old-looking wallpaper. So what I did was, in certain areas in the hallway, I would cut maybe a 4-foot-long sheet of the wood tone shelf paper, and I would peel it off, and I'd stick it on the wall. And in certain areas, I'd put like 3 or 4 different spots all over in the hallway. Then what I would do is I'd take the ugly shelf paper, and I would line the entire wall of the hallway like it was wallpaper. I'd use the shelf paper, the ugly one, as that. Wherever I had that wood shelf paper, I tore the old, ugly shelf paper, and I tore it off. So it looked as though it was old wallpaper that had been raggedy and peeling off the wall and exposing the wood sort of beams behind it. And what then I did was, so I pulled that off and pull it down, and it was sort of stringy and whatever. And then in the open spots, I hung these old pictures, and I printed up online black and white photos of old portraits of the family. So it was, mom, dad, and child, and a couple of eerie-looking pictures or whatever. And I hot glued some of these long candles to either side of the frames, and they were battery-operated ones, and hung those on the hallway. It looked so cool and so unique and so different that when people came, when my friends and family had come to the house, they were amazed, completely amazed that I did that in the hallway, and it was so cheap and so easy to do.
Oh, there's so much creativity, and you just have that talent. I mean, you just put your creativity is just so amazing. I mean, it's like, for me, it is the dressing up, because I've always lived in an apartment. I had a house for a short time, but we never really did anything big. The neighborhood that I was in, people just didn't do much. But for me, it's always the dressing up. Since I couldn't, decorate my area where I lived, I decorate myself, So Halloween, it's so much fun. I mean, it is so amazing. And like you said, the little cheap things that you can do can make a whole difference in the way things look. I mean, shelf paper. You created an old hallway from just shelf paper.
It was like $5 for a roll of 15 feet. So I think maybe for the hallway I may have spent, I don't know, maybe $40, $50. And I made it look like an old mansion that had wallpaper that was just peeling down. And it looked really cool and different and unique. I mean, and it wasn't something that I actually saw anybody else do. I never saw anything. Honestly, I don't even remember how it came to me. And I think I was looking for something else. And I saw shelf paper, and I go, wait a minute, could I do that? And I just started thinking it through, and I'm like, okay, if I buy that wood tone one, maybe if I put it underneath and do that. It was just, different. And then at the end, all it did, it peeled right off. So, it was very simple and easy to do, and you make sure that you get the one that is peelable. You don't get the ones that are the permanent sticky ones. And that's it. There's so many creative ways, especially if you do go on YouTube and you can do some searches on there. You can get some really cool and unique and different ideas. And, if you don't take the entire idea, maybe take a little bit of it and expand it and make it your own. Put your own fingerprint and your own signature to it and make it personal. That's the most fun thing about it. And you sort of have an accomplishment. You feel a sense of accomplishing something. And it's always great, You did something for Halloween. As silly as that may sound, you did something for Halloween.
Well, see, I'm thinking in terms of, like, creating something that can stay up all year. I mean, it's just, it's so cool. I mean, you may come up with something that, you may want to keep that spooky lamp. You may want to keep that dead tree, and just build something around it. There's so much that you could do, and Halloween doesn't have to end on the 31st. Halloween can go all year round. It really can.
Yeah, Sharon Swift in chat says the cheap bags of spider webs go a long way in decorating. Absolutely. I mean, spider webs and skeletons, you can do so much with just those two props in a room or in your front lawn that can make it so creepy. And just a little bit of lighting, creepy lighting. You can even throw in some music or whatever it is. It's endless, the opportunities that you can do. And you don't have to just take the whole wad of the spider web and just drape it across the entire room. No. Do little pieces here and there. Try and create the little details and make it a little bit more realistic, and do it everywhere. Take it from the top of the television set to the bottom of the television set to where it's sitting on top of the, if you've got it on a bureau or some sort of credenza or something like that. And then, in between the light bulbs that you have on your chandelier, if you have, in between the light bulbs and the fixtures, and in between each of those, and, just make it, those little details, that's what really, and if you just do spider webs, that's it. Throw a couple of spiders in there, boom. You've got an amazing setup right there.
I was just going to say rubber bugs. You can't go wrong with rubber bugs. More fun than anything.
I love those. And little body parts. Little rubber fingers and ears. I love those.
Fingers, hands, throw a couple eyeballs here and there. Just a little, how you put the little tea lights in a bowl? Well, you can put a couple tea lights in and throw in a couple fingers. I mean, that's awesome. That's like a great little thing in your front room. God, there's so many ideas that are coming to my head now.
The other thing, too, that I learned, that you don't really need to get a fog machine. People always spend some money on fog machines, and they can be pretty pricey. I mean, you can get the cheap ones. I've seen some that are like $20 in Spirit Halloween, and then you got to buy the fog juice and constantly keep up with that, either if you do that inside the house or if you're doing that on your front lawn. I mean, I don't see the sense in doing that if you're doing that on the front lawn. I can see that doing it on Halloween night only, because, again, that's the only real time where you're going to get the most audience or the most bang for your buck. And so if you're going to do anything and you're going to make an investment, maybe do it. Maybe do something, maybe purchase something and do it just for that one night. But if you don't have the money and your bank is very low, then I'm sure in your neighborhood you're able to get. You can probably get this through your local ice cream shop or some local restaurants that you even have. If you can't find a wholesaler, dry ice. If you're able to get dry ice in your neighborhood, you probably only need a good, I don't know the pound, but I think if you get like say a 12-inch by 12-inch block, and you only do this on Halloween night, you put it in if it's a cauldron, or you put it in some bowl, use warm water. Don't use cold water. Use warm water. That will last for a good couple of hours. And if you do that and put that on your lawn, boom. And the dry ice is so cheap. It's very, very cheap. It's dollars. It's just a few dollars. So if you want that look to your lawn or to your inside decor, I would say go the dry ice way. Just make sure when handling it you have gloves on, because you shouldn't touch it with bare skin. But go the dry ice way, and you can always check out your local retailers first, or if you want, check out your wholesaler. I think you can even try to do this online, but I think it's a little bit more costly to have it shipped, because then you have to pay for special shipping for dry ice. But I would check first locally on that, instead of going the route of buying an actual fog machine, because those fog juices will cost you a lot of money, and you have to keep buying those all the time.
Just the machine itself is pricey. The fog machine itself is pricey.
Yeah, I mean, I bought the $20 one, and they really don't work as well. It's almost like cigarette smoke, in those $20 machines. So sometimes it's not even worth it to do it. You can spend probably $5 and buy dry ice, and get a better bang for your buck, and it'll last a few hours. And if you're having a party, that's all you really need it for, is just for a few hours. The effect is there and it's done, and after a couple of hours, nobody really pays attention anymore, really, to fog. You've done the trick already, and probably in a couple hours anyway, if you're having a party, your guests are drunk at that point anyway, so who cares?
Well, one thing, going through the videos and stuff, the one thing I have to mention is garbage bags. I have seen giant spiders being made out of garbage bags. There's so many things you can do with a garbage bag, and probably like some cardboard and even just a little bit of paint. I mean, some of the things that I've seen that people have done to put on their lawn, you get a big old giant spider made out of garbage bags, get a couple corn stalks, you're set, and it looks awesome. And again, the lighting, it just, you got Christmas lights laying around somewhere. Maybe, you get a little spotlight. It's going to run you like maybe, $5? You've got a whole awesome display with a giant spider, and the only thing you really, your biggest investment is going to be your lighting, because you got the garbage bags. Everybody's got them in the house. You can make a little ghost out of a little white one. I mean, there's so many things that you can do that really don't cost a lot, and I think that's the best part.
You mentioned corn stalks. Last year, was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. My sister had bought corn stalks. They were a lot of money. They were $13 for a bundle of them, and I think they were
really.
They were $13, and I think there were maybe 10 in a bundle. And pretty much, in order for this to look realistic as a standing corn stalk, what you wanted to do was actually create a corn stalk field. You needed one bundle to create one corn stalk, so it was $13 for one, and so we had to buy 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, I think 16 bundles.
My God, that was
so. It was ridiculous, the amount of money that was spent just on corn stalks. And she had tried desperately to find places. Now, we live in the city, and so we had tried desperately to look for folks more up north in the country to see if we can find it cheaper. We would drive a little bit more, spend money on gas a little bit. You sort of weigh out those options and see if it's even worth it to do it. Spend the money a little bit on gas and either spend very little money or no money at all. You can, I know you can, because I've seen people on websites even doing this. There are people out there that will give away their corn stalks because they have cornfields out there that when they do their harvesting, they want to get rid of it instead of tossing it away. They know during this time that instead of tossing it away, they like to give it away to people so that they can decorate their homes. And I've known people online that have just put out their blogs and says, I've got bundles of these things that we want to get rid of. Just let me know, and you can come pick it up. So corn stalks, again, is another way, a cheap way, because if you can get it, it is free, to do a really cheap way of decorating your home, and it gives you that spooky effect. Because coupled with just corn stalks, you can then create cobwebs off the corn stalk, and it'd be amazing as well. With bales of hay, you can even try and get those for free as well. If you live in the countryside, or if you're able to drive away from the city, you can try and see if you can find something along the way into the country. Usually sometimes they're off on the side of the road. You can try and find some areas that are either cheap or for free. You can maybe even haggle some people, but even that way is cheap, and you can get a really cool spooky effect without spending a lot of money.
Well, I guess it depends on your area too. See, like for me, I'm here in the Midwest, and it's just a car drive to find a cornfield. And so corn stalks here have always been, relatively inexpensive or free. But of course, if you're in the city, certain things are going to be hard to get. So you look at what you want to do, like Jeana said, think of your theme first. Do your theme first, and then work from that. get your theme together, and then you start looking around. And like I said, I can't say enough about flea markets and secondhand stores. They are treasure troves of things. You may find probably the perfect centerpiece for something to build off of. And it's going to cost you what, maybe $2, $3? There's so many things that you can do. It's using everything. You know, as much as I love the spirit stores, you don't have to get everything from there. You really don't.
So I just want to thank Christopher and Jeana of Hollywood Haunters for coming on the show tonight. Great tips and techniques, amazing haunts that they put on. I'm glad that they were able to come on and share with us and our listeners some simple, easy way of creating our Halloween haunts that we can do this year for 2014. And if you're not familiar with their videos, you should check them out on YouTube, Hollywood Haunter. And they actually have a website, HollywoodHaunter.com. They are on Facebook. They've admitted that their Twitter is pitiful, but I'm hoping that they get that updated and on their way. And I cannot wait for them to reveal their 2014, which hopefully will be in a couple of weeks, and that's going to be an amazing sight to see. So thank you both to Christopher and Jeana for coming on the show. So let's get on to the Fan of the Week, Lucy.
Okay, the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. Now, one thing, we post our shows on YouTube, and YouTube has really, really increased our listenership to all parts of the world. And this week, our Fan of the Week is all the way from Australia. It is Susanna Bodza of Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. She listens to us on YouTube. She likes CW Supernatural. She likes Ghost Whisperers, Unsolved Mysteries, and she likes Dr. Sheldon Cooper, Aaron Goodwin, and, of course, she likes Paranormal Review Radio. And she does listen to us every week on YouTube. So, Susanna, thank you so much for being a fan. Thank you for listening. Congratulations.
Thank you, Susanna, from Down Under. And don't forget, if you want to be a Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week, just like us on Facebook and on YouTube, and subscribe on YouTube at Paranormal Review Radio.
Okay, guys, so are you excited yet? Halloween is going to be here in 28 days. Now, whether you are setting up a huge display or just a small window, the decorating is just part of the fun of this best holiday of the year. We hope you found something tonight that will help you blow away everyone when they drive past your home. We want to thank Christopher and Jeana for joining us tonight and sharing just a little bit of their Halloween spirit with us. Get the pumpkins ready, everyone, because we sure are. So let's think about what Halloween means to us. Ghouls, goblins, ghosts, vampires, zombies, all the things that go bump in the night. Well, we talked about how we can transform our own homes into haunted castles for the night. But what about the places that are spooky and scary every single day of the year? As paranormal investigators, we're always on the lookout for locations with activity. Well, there are some places with reputations and legends that are so frightening that you wouldn't dare enter without some holy water and an exorcist. Next week, we welcome back to the show Corvus Nocturnum. Corvus was on the show a few weeks ago to talk to us about the Church of Satan. It was a great show. Well, Corvus is the author of Most Haunted, Scariest Places on Earth, Haunted Asylums, and he's the co-author of Eerie America, Travel Guide of the Macabre. We asked Corvus to come back to the show and to talk about some of the scariest places you will ever set foot into, if you dare. You'll want to leave the lights on for this one. So, thank you to everyone who listens to us, both here at home and around the world. You know, the PRR family is growing, and it is absolutely awesome. Thank you, Anthony, for helping to make Friday night so special. So, until next week, Parapeeps, keep counting down to Halloween and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio. Radio.